I am joined from a secret, undisclosed location by Tony Graham, otherwise known as Tony G, host of DrugCultGang podcast, which certainly has the best name for a podcast that I've ever seen. And it was one of the reasons I started listening to you several weeks ago. So the producer for my show, Michael, he told me about you because we were looking for what we called at the time dirtbag left, for lack of a better term, podcasters to have on the show, because I've been interested in that scene, in that world, and I think it's very simpatico with what I'm doing. So turns out you're not exactly a dirtbag leftist. We'll get into that, but I have been listening to your podcast a lot for the last, I don't know, month or so, and you were gracious enough to agree to come on my show. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been a big fan of your show as well.
Oh, thank you, man. So I want to do this. I want to talk about who you are right now. And I mean that sort of in your life and also politically, what your ideas are right now about politics, what your orientation is generally, intellectually and politically. And then I want to go back and tell your whole life story, if you don't mind. How's
okay.
That?
Sounds good.
Okay. So what are your...
And then we'll do the same thing when you come on my show.
You got it. Absolutely. So what are your politics? And I've been listening to you talk about politics for God knows how many hours now, and I couldn't quite identify you politically. So I'd like for you to do that now. What are your politics right now?
Well, I started out with like just being a Marxist, really. I still am a Marxist. I'm really into Karl Marx.
Okay.
You know, being from like working class background, you really like look at things through like a class lens, I feel like, more than other people, I think. And yeah, I think class is like a big deal. Like I would just say I'm like an economic populist, Marxist, broadly, you know, because I don't really like to like be affiliated with any political party because it always lets me down. You know, like I used to be really into Bernie Sanders and I got let down. You know what I mean? It was very upsetting. So, and then ever since then, you know, I was like a leftist. I was into Bernie Sanders. And then ever since, you know, Bernie like dropping out in 2020, I've been kind of like a dissident, I guess, or, you know, like, you know, some people call it dirtbag leftist, but I don't even like that, or post left, but I don't even really agree with that. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say I'm a Marxist.
Okay. You also said economic populist. How do you define that for you? What does that mean for you?
Well, like populism is kind of just like, well, you know, I want to help the working class. I want to help poor people. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's my biggest thing is the biggest thing to me, that's just the craziest thing in the world, is how we have like homelessness, you know, and just like how poor people are treated in America or in the world, in the history of the world. You know, I think it's materialism is just like, when I got into this shit, it's just always been mind-boggling to me my whole life, how, you know, seeing poor people, not having a lot of money myself, you know, it's just crazy. And then you know, also going to school with or seeing people who do have money, you know, it pisses you off a little bit. You get a little angry.